Anybody that logs into Star Citizen for the first time recognizes immediately how great this game looks. The artwork, the graphics. So what we're going to do in this episode, we're going to take a little bit of a deep dive into some hidden secrets, and I'm going to start with one of my favorite ships in the 3.6 release, the Prospector. One thing I've noticed about Star Citizen and its developers is that they love their labels. So we're going to take a little bit of a deep look into the labeling on this ship. And right here in the back immediately, you can see almost nestled into that black on black is the MISC logo. And there's a lot of things I hadn't seen about this ship before. This is one of them, this little label back here. On the pop-down compartment in the back, there's several labels back here. Some MISC with the full spelled out Musashi Industrial and Starflight Concern. Some maintenance labels, a pull, and another pull on the other side. Some nice imprints on the part that drops down here. I kind of like that. Some warning labels. What was most interesting was this 1 and 2 imprinted on each side over here. I have no idea what that's about, but it does seem very intentional, doesn't it? I almost missed it, but inside the shroud is more labeling. On the port leg compartment, there's quite a number of things here. There's some warning labeling, nice little serial plate. There's several of those around the ship. There's also some nicely painted MISC logos and little tucked up labels everywhere. These hoses are also labeled as MISC. The secret find in this compartment was the word processor on a label way up in there. I have no idea who they thought might be seeing that, but I guess we're seeing it here, aren't we? That's pretty nice, just to make that extra detail up in there. The landing legs have a nice little MISC branding on them too. Now, I expected the starboard landing compartment to be a mirror image of the one on the port side, but it wasn't. It was actually quite different. Those emergency stickers over here. An interesting painted on label on this side was this NC774-71. Sounds like something out of Star Trek, but I have no idea in Star Citizen what this lore is about here. If you know anything about this, I'd like to hear about it in the comments below if you don't mind doing that. There's some caution labels, and one thing that was just bizarre, a label stuck way back up here in this compartment. Again, I have no idea who they thought would see that, but that's just such a great touch, label way back up in there, because I'm sure when they built the ship, the guys putting it together was putting on those labels. The engine has more of that serial plating on it and some MISC branding. These hoses that are black have some very subtle imprinted writing on them too. More of that MISC with some actual numbers. Some caution labeling, don't want to get fried by that engine. More serial plating on the other side of the engine. And these saddlebags, they've got some pretty nice etched in kind of cautions here, a little bit different than what we've seen in other parts of the ship. It has more of that serial plating image, but it's painted onto the side of this bag. That's a nice little variation there in that, as well as that same NC774-71 again. So it must actually have some meaning here. An interesting don't stand on the underside of this saddlebag, as well as some danger and precautionary statements under here. The MISC branding looks real nice and stands out on the side of these saddlebags here. Some kind of lift logo here. That's what it looks like to me. If it's actually something else, I'd like to know what that is. The front landing leg wasn't too extraordinary, but again, they took the extra step to put some barcoding 33 up here, as well as some access panel points, and yet more of that serial number plating in here. What also caught my eye here was this other precautionary statement above the plate. I'm not sure what that picture is trying to show me there. If anybody can decipher what that is, I'd like to see that in the comments below too as well. Some release controls on the outside, number 24, more serial plating. And here on this VTOL thruster, there was some nice detailed labeling and printing up here. I thought I had not seen that before. I thought that was actually pretty nice. Little thrusters have some MISC labeling on that with some precautionary statements, and a rescue pointing to the hatch. There's one of these on each side. The Size 1 gun has some labeling on it too, and some words here, the associated science and development, I think. It's got some other little numbers on the bottom here, but extra details just to add to the component. The mining laser, it has a number of precautions on it and the MISC logo around on it. What I thought was really interesting was this vast compartment here. And yes, I know this is where the mining laser tucks back into, but just seeing it made me realize that they've really physicalized this. And I realize when salvage comes in, you'll need to come in here and strip off chunks of a derelict ship. So everything has to be realized. This isn't just an image of a compartment. It actually is a physicalized compartment. It just kind of made me realize that as I was poking my head back in there. They did get one of these labels on backwards, but hey, can't be perfect, right? There's this little odd symbol again that I see here. And a control panel. I'm not sure what the control panel here is for. I mean, you can't operate on it, but it's just kind of interesting they put this on here. I hadn't noticed any of this on the lights before. There's quite a few labels on the front lights here. I had just kind of thought they were spotlights of some sort, but no, there's some nice labeling going on here as well. The outside door has quite a number of labels scattered around on it, and we've probably all seen the wording on the ladder as you go up, but what I had not seen is the MISC and the mining on the side of the ladder. I thought that was really nice. I've only ever seen the ladder from the front because I'm entering the ship, but I came around to the side and look what I found. I think that's just a nice little touch over there, as well as some rather recessed MISC logoing. So we're inside the ship now, taking a look around. We're in a little ladder area. I don't know what this little panel is about, but it's got frozen food on it and Origin ArcCorp, and it looks like a star map. Just a very confused little thing. It's also got some labels underneath. Integrity okay, power unit okay, container capacity 15%. I mean, I know it's a static label of some sort, but I have no idea what this little panel is about. Now, these hoses in here definitely have a lot of these little prints and labels on it, stuff that shows what it is. I like that. And something that I never really noticed in this ship also is this ceiling here. It's got this cargo netting stuff across the top. I had never really noticed that was up here in the roof before. Across the ceiling, there's a ton of MISC imprints and cautions, and a couple small panels labeled processor and hardware. More barcode 33, imprinted logos, just labels everywhere. Components and access points, the 4 saddlebags or tanks with labels all around that, life support and radar, the laser cooling drive, MISC and logo imprints with small numerical tags everywhere here, and the hidden bugger up in the rear corner was this ventilator release and capacitor control as labels, completely obscured unless you really look for them. The more obvious ones for our emergency kit, computer, and shield generator with number stickers. I like this panel here for ventilation, I suppose, and water. Maybe you'll be able to catch a drink here later for long prospecting voyages. They of course labeled everything in the bathroom, and I noticed the floor. It's composed of small MISC logos. Very cool. Up in the cockpit, there were more labeled hoses and logos, and a rather out-of-the-way low panel with an interesting group of labels of CRR, LDC, and MRS. These were different labels than we'd seen before. I like the shine and metal crimp corners on this panel too. An out-of-the-way capacitor control maintenance, general precautions, and more logos. These are upside down now, but flip around in the pilot seat. Lots of cautions and the capacitor control access panel. And mind your head. Oh, you know what? Now that I'm seeing it, I know what this is. That's a hand being crushed by something coming down on it with a hard force. Okay, I figured out now what this is. I had to look at it a bunch of times, but yeah, that's what that's supposed to be. You are not supposed to crush your hand. That looks pretty painful, actually. So, okay, we've got that one under control. Got some mini labeling on these hoses, full MISC branding, and stickers all around. Up top, there are a couple more of the control panels with different label groups, different than what we've seen before and different from each other, which again is that extra effort not to cut and paste the artwork everywhere. So much of it is unique. There's another one of these low control panels on the other side, and again, each is different. It's got some labels too, but I also like the texturing and material of this seat. In the seat, beyond the inner thought options, are some engine labels and a few others I had a hard time zooming in on. A living quarters label between the cockpit and rear part of the ship, And really, a whole host of other tags and labels were scattered everywhere here and there that I didn't have time to cover individually in this video. Now, our in-depth labeling look wouldn't be quite complete unless we got on top of the ship and looked around up here. They've got some nice colors, some black, grays, reds. You got more of this labeling on hoses. Caution, keep clear. Some of these red things, some of these red hoses or tubes here, they've got the MISC with some sort of processor, looks like name on there. And there's a second one over there. It's got maybe some sort of vent. Yeah, processor ventilation. So they've managed to even label some of these things up here that I doubt hardly anyone will ever see, but I guess you will in maybe the game for salvage. Little labels and stuff everywhere. So yeah, this is the Prospector. This is the labeled ship that we were going to take a look at today. I hope you guys like this deeper dive into some of the details of this ship. And one of the reasons I wanted to show this to you is because by seeing these details, it brings the game more alive. It adds to the gameplay when you know you're in this ship. And when you really get to know it inside and out like this, it just makes the game more real and it makes the gameplay more exciting. You're connected to your ship, life and death, and your exploration, your mining, and what you're bringing back. It just makes it feel more real and more in-depth and more immersive. And I know that's what they're going for with this game. And with all these details, to me, I think they actually did it. I'd like to know what you thought about this video. If you like what you saw here, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll be talking to you later.
Landing complete. Have a pleasant stay.